Now, one of the most important things in growing a business, but growing a business that doesn't cause a lot of stress, is your ability to stop trading time for money.
Welcome to Thrive by Design, the podcast for ambitious, independent jewelry brands looking to profit from their products. Get ready to make more and sell more doing what you love without spending every single waking minute doing it. Hey, and if you're a creative, fashion, or product-based business, I want to welcome you to the show. I'll be dropping big tips on launching, growing, and scaling your business so you can spend more of your precious time using your creativity to make money. You ready? All right, let's do this.
Welcome to the Thrive by Design podcast, episode 413. Well, it's summertime and it's time for some summer reading. Hey there, I'm Tracy Matthews. I'm the Chief Visionary Officer of Flourish and Thrive Academy. I'm also the host of this show today, and I'm very excited to be here today to talk about some of my favorite books for you to read this summer. Now, summer is a great time for all y'alls to catch up on implementing work in your business. And the reason I say this is typically the summer months are a little bit slower for most jewelry business owners, except for those who are probably doing summer shows. So if you're in the show season and it's busy for you, maybe you want to listen to a book while you're setting up your booth this summer. There's lots of ways that you can digest this content. And if you're going on vacation, what a better time to bring a book, read the book, hang out, implement that, and integrate that while you're lounging on the beach or flying on a plane or wherever you're going, right? Awesome time to read. So before I dive into these books, I also have a little special extra training for you. So if you haven't done so yet, I have an on-demand version of one of my favorite masterclasses that I run over here at Flourish and Thrive. It's called An Inside Look at a Seven-Figure Jewelry Brand. And that masterclass is all about strategies that you need to implement if you're trying to scale to seven figures from mid-six or even low six figures. Super important wherever you are right now to watch this masterclass. It's not just for $1 million makers. It's for people who are at all stages in business, because it really helps shine a light on exactly how a business needs to be set up in the jewelry industry in order to cross that multiple six or even seven-figure marker. Plus, for showing up to this class, I'm going to be giving you a really amazing resource. It is a highlight of 3 very successful jewelry business owners who are scaling up to $1 million. Some of them have already crossed the line. Some of them are on their way. And it's really inspiring to see exactly what these people did to grow their business in a very short period of time. I'm sharing with you the exact strategies that they used so that you can learn by example. Super awesome. So if you want to watch that class, head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/7 and figures. And you can watch that class for free. That's flourishthriveacademy.com/7 figures. All right, let's get into my summer reading list. So I'm going to be interviewing a bunch of amazing authors on the podcast this summer. Not all of them are even on this reading list, so maybe I'll do a second version of part 2 summer reading list. I didn't want it to be too long. So the first series of this books are just people that I really admire, and also books that I think are really, really good that I've used for myself, that I'm implementing, that I'm sending to people in our community, and that are just all around good times. So I'm going to dive in, and number 1 on the list is Tough Titties by Laura Belgray. The tagline on this book is "On living your best life when you're the effing worst." The thing that I love about Laura so much is, number 1, she's hilarious. But let's talk about what this book is about first, because this might seem like an unusual recommendation for me because it's not a business book. It's actually a memoir and a coming-of-age story from an award-winning writer and my good friend, Laura Belgray. Her husband, Stephen, calls this loser Sex in the City, which I love. And if you love to laugh, please pick up this book. Laura is literally one of the funniest people I know. She speaks about being a dork, a late bloomer, what it was like growing up in New York City and living there her entire life. No, she doesn't drive, with the exception of actually going away to college for a few months. I think that the reason why people are resonating with this book so much is because so many people grow up feeling like they were a little bit dorky or nerdy, maybe a late bloomer, and not the cool kid on the block. I think the best way to describe this is to read a blurb that was sent out about the book. Her wildly relatable coming-of-age story includes hate following her sixth-grade bully on social media decades later, moving home after post-college to measure her self-worth in hookups with Upper West Side bartenders, dating a sociopath man-baby, proving herself in the early 90s at New York's Coolest magazine as the world's worst intern, toughing out the icky self-help retreat in Costa Rican jungle, falling for get-rich-quick schemes on the internet, and most of all, saying tough titties to supposed to-dos in life, driving a car, being on time, handing in your paperwork, learning to roast a chicken, and having kids. The book is peppered with cutting insights on our confusing self-helpy culture that calls hair removal self-care and tells us to give our 110%, but also gives 0 Fs. Tough titties will leave you feeling better about, well, everything. Let's face it, we're all tired of shame spiraling after being told what to do, and we know we're not going to do any of it anyway. Tough Titties is one big permission slip to be a dork, a sometimes unspiritual slacker, a late bloomer, and ultimately, unapologetically you. It also have you snort laughing, which is true, in public, and tapping whoever's nearby to say, let me read you one more part, which is annoying, but, well, tough titties. Anyway, here's why I love this book. Laura is seriously one of the funniest people I know. When I spend time with her, I die. She's a good friend of mine. I've had her on the podcast several times, and I just recently did an interview with her last week. So if you haven't listened to that, make sure you listen to it. I wanted to launch that interview during her book launch week. But more importantly, she's just a really great, entertaining writer. So if you like to be entertained and you like to laugh, pick up this book because it's something like no other. Like I told her on the interview, and listen to it, the one last week, episode 412. I told her on that episode that her book reminds me of the books that David Sedaris writes. And he's one of my favorite authors. So if you know anything about David Sedaris and you enjoy reading his book, you're going to enjoy reading Laura's book. Pretty incredible. Now, my second recommendation for the summer book reading list is Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. So Dan has been a friend of mine for a very long time, and I've always really admired him by how he's been able to organize his business in a way to be highly efficient while also being able to delegate down stuff that he doesn't like to do. And so Buy Back Your Time is really important, I think, for business owners because one of the biggest bottlenecks in any business is a founder who has run out of time to focus on the important tasks and high leverage activities in a business. So if you feel overwhelmed all the time, most likely what's happening is you are becoming a bottleneck in your business. Buy Back Your Time teaches readers how to get unstuck, reclaim their freedom, and build their empire while avoiding burnout. Now, one of the most important things in growing a business, but growing a business that doesn't cause a lot of stress, is your ability to stop trading time for money, especially when you feel strapped for cash. Because if you are someone who says to yourself, like, it's easier to do myself, or you feel like you can't afford to invest in someone to delegate tasks to on your team, Dan's going to show you a bunch of different ways that you can do this efficiently because it doesn't have to necessarily be with a full-time, high-paid employee. There's a lot of different ways that you can hire out tasks and things to get them off your plate to help you save time so that you can focus on the most important things. I recommend this book so hard because I've already listened to it twice. And over the past 7 years, as I mentioned, knowing Dan and just watching how he's been in partnership with his wife, Renee, and how they live their life, they have been able to really build their dream life because they know how to structure their day and their time and get the most impact out of everything they are doing. I also love the book because the activities inside the book are super actionable, and it's going to get you thinking about yourself and your business a lot differently. So if you're kind of like in the mindset of having a hobby business, maybe this isn't like the best book for you. I mean, it's great for anyone who wants to really optimize their time. But if you're serious about growing your jewelry business and you want to have more freedom and flow and feel more creative, this book is going to change your life. It's going to be really, really important for you. Even if you aren't ready to hire someone, you can identify what you should be working on to generate the cash flow that your business needs to continue to grow over and over again. So I highly recommend this book. Super awesome. Definitely pick it up. It is a great summer read. The next book that I love is 2 Weeks Notice by Amy Porterfield. This is number 3 on my list. So this book, as you might have guessed it, is a step-by-step guide about finding the courage to quit your job, make more money, work where you want, and change the world. Now, Amy is going to walk you through some actionable tips to pick your date to quit your job and give your 2 weeks notice so that when you leave your job, you actually feel ready. Now, even though Amy's audience isn't necessarily for product-based business owners and entrepreneurs, there's so many good takeaways from this book. I've already listened and read the book twice because I'm always trying to support the people who are in our community who are doing their jewelry business as a side hustle to give them a courage to take that leap. And I know that a lot of fear sometimes is surrounding that desire or idea of leaving. And with the steps and the actions that Amy talks about in this book, it helps take some of that fear out so that you feel prepared, so that when you're ready to leave your job, you're already ready to hit the ground running and you feel like good to go. So the reason why I love this book so much is that Amy is one of the best teachers I know. I've known Amy for about 13 or 14 years. We met through Marie Forleo's B School back in the day at an event. Funny story, we were hanging out in the after party at like the bar across the street from the event. And Amy was trying to set me up with some guy at the bar because I was talking to her about like how she was just recently married to her husband, Hobie. And I was talking about how like I really wanted to meet someone, and it was kind of hilarious and funny. Anyway, all good times and good stories, like fun little past memory. But seriously, about the book, Amy's one of the best teachers that I know. I've taken several programs from her. Her podcast is one of the podcasts that I always listen to. And one of the things that I love about it is that it's really easy to understand the concepts that she teaches. So as I mentioned, even though this isn't specifically for product-based business owners, there is so much to glean from it that I think that you're going to get a lot of actionable takeaways that are going to help you feel super prepared. And she really uncovers like what entrepreneurship is and building a business is versus what it is not. And she's really incredible at teaching it. So I highly recommend it. Definitely check it out. 2 Weeks Notice by Amy Porterfield. Number 4 on my list is, guess what? The Desired Brand Effect. Stand out in a saturated market with a timeless jewelry brand. Now, this is a book that I wrote for jewelry business owners who want to grow and scale a successful jewelry company. It's, of course, great for jewelry businesses of all sizes. The book is all about my methodology called The Desired Brand Effect. And I walk you through the key steps to attracting your right audience, to scaling your marketing and your sales, to delivering a great experience to your customers, and then being able to scale all of those efforts with automation, with team, with systems support, all the things that you need to build a successful jewelry company. And it's exciting for me because I want to thank all of you who have given the book a rating and review. We have over 121 reviews, and I'm just so grateful. Most of them are 5-star, so it's very, very exciting to see that. I'm glad that the book is resonating with you. So if you haven't picked it up yet, definitely get it. If you are wondering like what it really takes to build a successful jewelry company, it's all in here. This is like, a couple people have said to me, this is like a jewelry business owner's Bible. That's not what I called it. That's what other people have told me. And because it's really hard to talk about your own book, I'm going to read what Nina Cooper of Nina Cooper Designs wrote about the book. Let's face it, most jewelry designers would do just about anything to avoid the business side of their business. Tracy Matthews is that friend who will take you by the hand and walk you through the critical steps of branding, strategy, and financial planning that are critical to achieving your goals. With inspiring case studies and simple exercises, Matthews coaxes her readers to embrace the structure and processes that will liberate them to focus on what they love most. Whether you need a complete overhaul or just a tune-up, this book will inspire you to take your business to the next level and give you the tools to make good on that vision. So that's Nina Cooper of Nina Designs who wrote that. So I'd be honored if you picked up the book. And if you've already read it, I would also be just as honored if you'd give us a rating and review on Amazon. Your ratings and reviews help basically more people find the book and see it. I have a mission to try and get 500 5-star reviews by the end of next year. It does take time, so every single rating and review counts. If you've already picked up the book, I would be so grateful. And also, like, share your thoughts about what you loved about the book if you enjoyed it, because that's really helpful to other people who might pick up the book and read it. So that's my little book, The Desired Brand Effect, and I hope you enjoy it. Now, my next and final book for the summer reading series is Cash Confident, An Entrepreneur's Guide to Creating a Profitable Business by Melissa Houston. She is our financial coach in the Momentum program over at Flourish and Thrive Academy. And this book is incredible. I already interviewed Melissa about this in May during her book launch week. So if you want to learn more about what the book is about, please listen to that full episode. But she talks about the core pillars of what a small business owner, just like you, especially in the product-based business owner, needs to be looking at when it comes to the numbers. Because when you avoid the numbers, guess what happens? You stick your head in a hole and you actually start operating and grow your business, not out of a place of power, but out of a place of scarcity and lack and fear. And we want to get you out of that so that you're using the numbers to make good decisions. Because if you don't know what's going on from a financial perspective, then you don't really know how your business is doing. And so one of the reasons why I like this book so much is that Melissa is a great teacher. The book is delivered in a very straightforward way, makes understanding the numbers very easy. She shared my story in her book. So if you want to read a little bit more about my story, she talked a little bit about that, about my story of when I filed for bankruptcy and started over in business, and so much more. So, and the book is short. You know, I feel like a lot of people are like overwhelmed by book about finances. I have it in my hands right now. It's 187 pages, and it's not even, the size of the pages isn't super big. So you can get through this in just a couple of days maybe. Or if you're a fast reader, probably one day. So it's a great book. Definitely pick it up. So let me recap my summer reading series books. So the book number 1 is Tough Titties by Laura Belgray. If you want a good laugh and a beach read, definitely pick that up. It is fantastic. If you're someone who wants to feel less stressed, less overwhelmed, and buy back your time, pick up Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. He will be on the podcast very soon. The strategies in this book are incredible, and you're going to really love it. Book number 3 is 2 Weeks Notice by Amy Porterfield. If you're someone who has been thinking about quitting your day job, this is a great book for you to get some step-by-step actions to actually give your 2 weeks notice. I'm super excited about that one. Number 4 is The Desired Brand Effect by me. And it was a little bit hard to talk about my own book, but I love the book and it has helped thousands and thousands of people so far. We've sold several thousand copies at this point. We have over 121 4.9 star ratings and reviews. So I would love to know your opinion about it and share what you think. And I'm excited about it. It's such a great book. And then the next book that I recommend is Cash Confident, An Entrepreneur's Guide to Creating a Profitable Business by Melissa Houston. Great book about learning the numbers and understanding them in a very simple way. So I would love to know about what books you'd recommend and books that you're reading. Yeah, shoot me a DM on Instagram and share it with me. I'm at Tracy Matthews NY. You can also reach us over at flourish_thrive on Instagram and find us right there. And I'd love to know what you're reading, and we can start curating a summer reading list for our listeners. Thanks so much for listening to the show today. This is Tracy Matthews signing off until next time. If you haven't done so yet, of course, rate and review my book, but also rate and review this podcast. When you rate and review the podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you're listening to podcasts, it helps push this podcast in front of other jewelry business owners just like you. I'd be so grateful for your support in that. And I'd also love to know which episodes you're really vibing on. So if you ever hear an episode and you're enjoying it, please reach out to me on Instagram. It's just so fun to hear from you guys. I love getting tagged in those stories. I love just hearing from you and the messages that I get in my DMs. I read them all, and I want to just thank you for that. So this is Tracy signing off. Until next time, I hope you enjoy these books. Ciao.